Good morning, everyone. In October, every 2 reservations you make on Open Table will make the third one free. That's a joke, just kidding. What is Open Table? In 2010, the floods wiped out Tent City, and there were 140 families living there. And out of that, a group of outreach workers got together and committed to working to relocate them. Open Table became the organization they formed, and they're committed to disrupting cycles of injustice, poverty, Elizabeth, journeying with the marginalized, and educating on homelessness. I think 3 years ago, the Tennessee Conference ordained Ingrid McIntyre, their executive director, to be an outreach worker to the streets. And for the last 2 years, our congregation, along with Belmont and Calvary, have helped support a resource navigator. And unlike many organizations, Open Table actually goes to the streets and meets these people and befriends them. And I want you to hear from Elizabeth, who you've helped support for the last 2 years, a story of one of those people. In October, our communion offering will go to support Open Table. So don't make the mistake of writing your check today to it. Next Sunday at communion. But now I'd like Elizabeth to share the story of Tom with you.
Good morning. So, like Kirby said, my name is Elizabeth. I'm an outreach worker with Open Table Nashville. My designated area is the West Side, and it's a collaboration involving West End and Belmont and Calvary. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my friend Tom. I met Tom early this summer. I was actually bringing supplies for another gentleman, and Tom said, "Is there any way you could help me get some work shoes?" And just like that, our friendship was born. I started working with Tom. He is a veteran and had been without housing for over 2 years. He'd had some discouraging experiences that led him to feel like maybe housing wasn't in the cards for him, and he wasn't sure what his journey would look like going forward. But he and I started working together and having conversations about what would be needed to pursue housing as an option for him. And along the way, I learned a lot of things about Tom that have made him very dear to me. One of the things is that Tom is an amazing poet. He writes for The Contributor. Almost weekly, his work is published, and he always saves a copy for me. So I have a nice collection of just hearing his heart and his mind put into words. He's also a vendor, so he sells The Contributor as well. Surprisingly, Tom loves video games. He's a gentleman in his early 60s, so that kind of took me off guard, but those are one of his true passions in life, is video games and technology. Tom is a Nashville native. He grew up here, and his grandmother owned a home on the West End, and since that home no longer exists, it's been rebuilt into a newer property. And he's kind of shared some of his thoughts and heart about that journey. But as we started to journey together and explore what it would mean for us to work towards housing for him, Tom became one of my dear friends, and I'm excited to report that earlier this month we moved him into his own apartment. Just to see him get to start to reimagine what his life would look like moving forward, to begin to consider other options, other kinds of work he would be passionate about doing, ways that he can give back. He's already written down his information for me multiple times as if I didn't have it, because he wants to come out and volunteer at our resource shelters. Just see him have a new kind of lease on life and be encouraged about what his journey looks like moving forward has been such a blessing. And I'm very thankful for the role that West End plays in Open Table and in the work we get to do with our friends like Tom. Thank you.
And I just want to reiterate Elizabeth's thank you to all of you for making that possible. Next Sunday, a donor has agreed to match every donation, so your gifts will be doubled. And now let us praise God. Great is God's mercy towards us. Let us offer a portion of what God has given us with humble and grateful hearts.